Do you want an Empyrean paint job from Warcaster and Neo-Mechanika but don't have a lot of time? About 40 to 45 minutes each. So the one disclaimer when it comes to painting up the Empyreans from Warcaster and Neo-Mechanika is that the cool glowy effect, you're not going to do that in a speed paint, but you kind of get some of the ideas of that with a little bit of practice and following a certain set of steps I'm going to show you today. Now, one disclaimer here with this particular paint process. Whoop, don't drop my miniatures. They tend to break very easily. That's pewter miniatures for you. There is about a 30-minute drying period, so that technically that 45 minutes-ish time period is the actual time painting. So maybe you get your miniatures started, get some dinner, and then come back and finish them up. Alright, let's get to priming. For the priming step, I'm using the Mechanicus Gray Spray Primer from Games Workshop's Citadel line of paints, and I've also got my 3D printed priming tool. I'll put a link to purchase this tool, at least the STL files for it, in the description of the video. We're going to begin the painting process by taking 2 parts black, 1 part silver, mixing them together, and then diluting it down with maybe 2 to 3 times the amount of water. I'm going to very quickly apply this wash to the entire miniature, and before it can dry, I want to take a paper towel and just carefully remove most of this color that's not inside some sort of recess or near a detail or something like that. Well, now here we are at that drying step I mentioned a little while ago. This particular layer will probably take about 20 to 30 minutes to dry, so go ahead, get something to eat, get a snack, dinner, whatever it may be. Come back and we'll finish up the miniatures. The Empyreans have lots of pink glowy lines all over their characters, and we're going to work on that right now. Now if you don't have an actual pink color, what you want to do is take a nice bright red, I've got Rapture from CvltCraft's line of paints, and mix it in with a bright cyan. And for that I've got Simone from CvltCraft's line of paints. You want to mix these two colors together because it'll give you a pink that's fairly well saturated as compared to just adding some white to a red paint. Now using this color, you want to paint all the little lines on the character. And since we're doing this effect at this part of the process, don't worry too much if you spill paint outside the lines. We'll clean that up later. Now you may find that your pink color is a little bit thin on the pigment side. You've got 2 steps. One is to let it all dry and go over with more pink, which is a perfectly valid way of doing things. Or you can try to take a little bit of extra time and have some fun. And then what I want to do is take some bright white. I've got Honor from CvltCraft's line of paints. I'm going to first apply this in all the areas where the pink was a little thin. I'm then going to take some of the pink color, blend it in with the white, and make it look like there's a glowing hot spot in these energy lines. I have a quick step for you here. These miniatures have areas that are both purple highlighted as well as just kind of very dark, almost black areas. We're going to work on those both at the same time. I'm going to apply a simple black wash to those areas and it's going to dry while we work on some other things. Let's move on to the carapace where we'll let the rest of that wash dry. For the Empyreans, you really have 2 choices, a silver or a gray. They're pictured both ways in Privateer Press's official colors. I'm going to choose the silver method, but if you want to use gray, same steps, just replace gray with silver. I'm beginning here with sort of a very controlled dry brush. I'm not even actually using a dry brush. I'm using a cheap, basic base coating brush, but I'm using a dry brushing technique to carefully apply the silver to all the raised armor panels. Now I want to work the color up to the little ravines where the pink glowy stuff is, but try not to get the color in those ravines. If you do, we can fix that later. So I got a free bonus tip here for you while I'm fixing my miniature that I just broke. When you're dry brushing near the little glowy energy lines, dry brush perpendicular to their direction, and that will reduce the chances of getting paint in them. Now if you made a few oopsies with your silver color, I personally would just ignore them and not waste time on it, but if you want to, we'll fix them in just a moment. Before we do that, we got one more layer to apply to the carapace. I'm going to take some bright white. I'm taking Honor from CvltCraft's line of paint, mixing it into whatever your base color for the carapace was, and doing a little bit more dry brushing. Don't do the whole thing, just some sections of the armor. Now if you're so inclined, you can go back and fix your mistakes, whether it be adding some pink where it's needed, or black, or whatever it may be. So purple's got several uses on these miniatures. I'm working with Blasphemer from CvltCraft's line of paints. And first thing you want to do is pick out a few areas of the carapace you want to fill with purple just to get some contrast with the silver or gray base armor. Next, these miniatures have a lot of half sphere things decorating them. Paint each of those with a base coat of purple. The third part are the blades and antenna. At least that's what I call them. They probably have more proper names. To figure out where those are, look at official pictures from Privateer Press, or just make it up and paint whatever looks cool. And the last and final thing I used the purple for is to kind of do some highlighting of some of the tentacle parts. Once again, you kind of can figure out what that is for these miniatures. If not, just look at pictures. They're kind of a weird robot-y thing. We're getting close to being done is the pink highlight step. Take some of that original pink color, apply a little bit of it to all the different half spheres on the model, and then apply a little bit more in the center of each of the purple sections on the various tentacle things on the model. You also want to apply some of the pink to the blades and antennae. And what you want to do here is kind of move your brush back and forth as you go across the blade. And what this will, in theory, do is give a little bit of a look of pulsating energy. So instead of applying the paint in just a simple straight line, you want to kind of do a lot of short strokes of different length. Only 2 steps left. I think I'm counting that right. Take some bright white and apply it to the center of a lot of the bright pink areas you just painted. This will give, once again, the effect of a really bright energy core to all those areas. When it comes to the blades and the antennae, just like the pink, do a little bit of short strokes to give the idea of that pulsing energy. Let's finish some things up using a non-oil wash from Games Workshop's Citadel line of paints. And we want to hunt for small recesses we might have missed earlier or covered up. Also, though, you want to work along the edges of any of the raised armor panels, add a little bit of contrast there so your eye can see that detail a little better. And with that, let's call our miniature done. So I did have to go back and make a few touch-ups because I do kind of have to have some sort of a mediocre thumbnail. It is YouTube after all. This particular guy here, he took probably closer to 50 minutes. But the smaller, more basic troopers, they're probably around 40 minutes to paint up. So you're looking the 40 to 50 minute range for a typical Empyrean miniature from Warcaster Neo-Mechanika. Alright, so I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. If you'd like to see some more speed paints for miniatures, whether it be this game or Battletech or something else, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.